Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. We are back with another Neurodiversity Stories with your host. My name is Darren Clark, and we do these every single Friday without fail, despite what's going on everywhere else in the world. We put these out to share more awareness, to educate and to inspire around neurodiversity. Now, we've had some incredible guests throughout our series. We're on episode 10 now. Very, very excited of how this is planning out and the amazing response that we've had from you guys. And we just continue to excel with the guests, and we have another phenomenal, very inspirational lady. Sally is going to be speaking with us today. Absolutely thrilled. She's a very, very busy lady. So I'm absolutely thrilled to be able to kind of have her for 45 minutes on this show, and she's going to be able to educate and inspire and share her journey. So, guys, as I said, why do we do this? So my name's Darren Clark, and I'm a global neurodiversity consultant, and I work with organizations across the globe to spread more awareness for neurodiversity by speaking and training. I would also like to say a massive thank you to Scanning Pens, who are our sponsors, who help us with this show. Check this out. So guys, Scanning Pens are our sponsors for our show, and their story is very simple. They were created to empower people of all ages, backgrounds, and learning abilities with the tools they need to succeed in the classroom in the real world. Guys, their details is attached to this, so if you are looking to get in contact with them, then please do. So guys, I will now bring on an amazing guest, Sally. So Sally Coles Robertson, her title today is Women in Entrepreneurs and Employers in the Workplace. Now, Sally wants to leave a legacy. She's definitely doing that to urge women with their diversity to lift you up on a pedestal and cheerlead all other hidden ADHD women. Now, her story, if you've not connected with Sally before this, then I'm sure you'll definitely connect with her after this talk. Her story is incredibly inspirational, but not just her story, but of what she's done, which she's going to be able to share with you guys, but also a lot of the things that she's been able to do to kind of tackle that and not just empower herself, but other people as well. So guys, without further ado, here's Sally. And just Sally, good morning. How are you?
Well, I'm good. Thankfully, now I'm here with you. It's been a chaos morning, stuck in traffic, but I'm back on dry land now, so that's good.
Absolutely, and I think it was just incredible when you phoned just minutes before saying, I've had to go to the salon, I'm doing this, and I guess that's the way we kind of live our lives, really kind of crazy.
But it's like Roadrunner, a bit like Roadrunner, isn't it? If anyone remembers the cartoon, it's crazy like that all the time. But as you well know.
Absolutely, Sally. Sally, I'm thrilled to be able to kind of, to have your time on this. I know how incredibly busy you are, so I really do appreciate this. Sally, I know I know a bit about yourself. I know that we connected on LinkedIn. We share the same Clubhouse group, which we've all, myself, you, and Will have created for neurodiversity, which is, last time I checked, is up to, I think we were on 199 members on Clubhouse. So, but that was a few days ago. So I'm not too sure whether we've hit that 200 mark, but I'm sure hopefully we will. But Sally, if you wouldn't mind, just introducing yourself. Tell the listeners who you are, a little bit about you. That would be wonderful. If you
Absolutely. Well, firstly, thanks for having me on the show, Darren. It really is. We're really making headway now, which is fantastic for all the neurodiverse people out there, and they're out there in millions, believe me. And I'm sure, as well as that we've got lots of hidden groups on the scene, with thousands and thousands of people in them. And currently, the numbers are raising so fast. So, but basically, how my journey started really, and more dramatically over the last 12 months, is that I've used COVID not to be an Anna's Horribilis, but an Anna's Awakening. So, you know, I think that we have a choice, don't we? And I know that quite a lot of us, and when you learn about the left and the right side brain, is just fascinating of what our ability being neurodiverse can do and be, is just incredible. So, you know, I've used that to my advantage in business, and just purely because part of my journey is discovering that I had lots of letters after my name that I didn't even realize I got, but
Really?
not of the academic sense.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you find out that you're neurodiverse, I don't know about you, Darren, but you find out.
That's a really good point, actually. When you just elaborate, you know, question, I've got a lot of letters after my name, which I wasn't aware of. I've never ever thought of it that way. That's really.
It's a spin on words, isn't it? I have letters after my name, but means things totally different. Yes, I am an academic now, but leaving school, I left school with nothing because I was truant, and I'm not proud of that. But not all the time, but I was just clearly not heard and not understood. But apart from one teacher out of my whole of my education, one teacher. And I fortunately met her purely by default just before COVID. She's the mother of one of our clients, and it was only from the surname that I recognised that. I said, hang on a minute, your mum isn't. And she said, yeah, she is. And I said, oh my gosh. And I went like in a cold shiver, because I said, oh my gosh, this is just like the universe, isn't it? It makes me go shivery now. And you know, and so I said, you were the only teacher in my whole education, and that's in this country and Australia, that understood me. So and so, you know, when my consultant gave me some of the diagnosis with neurodiversity, one of them is I'm ODD. So I just said, okay, well, I've heard of OCD, what's ODD? So he said, well, oppositional defiant disorder.
Okay.
So I just looked at him. We have this conversation and this sort of connection now that I just laugh, because I just say, oh, for goodness sake, how are you measuring? You know, I'm a successful entrepreneur now, and grown through the you know, over the last years. What so I'm oppositional defiance. So he said, well, clearly you're displaying it now. So I said, no, this is my opinion. This is my opinion. Just because I'm not agreeing with you, the consultant, the psychologist, the professional, the whatever. So I'm still in the house of my dreams. I still drive the car that I've dreamed of driving. I still have the holidays that I've dreamed of having. And I have letters after my name that are academic now. So, you know.
I just want to bring you back to one of the things that you said, and you said about you know, that one teacher that kind of helped and supported you, and I think that's, you know, I can relate to that in business terms. So when I can remember when I first went into kind of retail and then started to climb the you know, the ladder of success, so to speak, you know, to corporate management and all this, you know, this element of it. That confidence from the you know, the schooling, the trouble at the school element was still there. So obviously, you know, you needed someone to believe in you. And there was always this gentleman who was a manager at the time, and really kind of helped me, not just while I was in that store and I was kind of under him in the sense of department manager, but throughout more or less my kind of career within that retailer. And he was always there to kind of, if I was, you know, going to an assessment, I was, you know, struggling with bits and pieces as well. You know, there was no money involved or anything. He was just always there, like this kind of like a guardian angel. And you mentioned as well that, you know, that stipulate that one person, and we're still talking about it now. How important was that to you to have that one person believing in you?
Well, looking back now, massively, and for her to appear like a guardian angel, just suddenly, but the description of her, I remember being absolutely back when I was 12, so that's like 40 years ago. Will, ugh, that's awful. But I can remember being like mesmerised by. She had very, very fine hair, almost like the lady off. There's a program called Rainbow that we all used to watch as
Yeah.
children. The lady called Jane that had blonde hair was very fine and it quite fly away. And this teacher used to sit by a heater, and the static from the heater used to have like electricity, and I was mesmerized by how her hair. Look, can you see on my hair now on this side? How it's like that. It used to just fly up from the heat. And I was mesmerized by that and quite distracted even then, and then but she got me. She just got me, and I can't describe any other way than that, apart from not being got, which was constantly stood outside the head teacher's office, both in the UK and Australia,
Which brings me on to your time. A lot of the viewers, some of the viewers might not know the kind of the backstory in the sense of you were in the Australian education system, and then obviously which hopefully you'll be able to share some snippets of that, and then obviously then came back to the UK side of it. So could you just share that element, Sally? The how it affected you in Australia with the educational side of it, and then where you went from there.
And thanks, Will. I again, going back to the experience with ODD. So before we went to Australia, I was sort of told I'd never go anywhere in life by a couple of people that I can still remember now and still see them now in my mind, although I've not seen them for many years, although I'd like to. But and so when I got to Australia, we moved with my father, who was a businessman, and he passed away 20 years ago now, but he still remains very much prominent in my life with his expression and things. But when we got to Australia, I started school there, which was high school, and sadly got in with the wrong crowd in the first week. And I just want to share something with you that's quite poignant, because even when I was so young and in art, it was art again. So this art teacher was my favourite teacher in the UK school. And then into art in Australia, she was like the honey monster, the teacher, and her head used to come out of her body like that way, not above. And but she wasn't very nice, and she wasn't as nice as the teacher from England. Anyway, this particular lunchtime, I'd squirted some paint up at the ceiling fans, because in those days they didn't have air conditioning, and so I got the squirty paint, and I was just wanting to see what it would be like flicked around the room. I wasn't being naughty. I wasn't being. I swear to you, I just wanted to see.
No.
I didn't know then about the artist. Who's the artist that splats paint?
Oh, I know. I don't know the name. But I know exactly.
I can't think now. Anyway, so that was really what probably in my heart I was trying to do. And of course was frog march straight to the head teacher, and she's very much like the head teacher out of Grease the film. And I feel that my talking in metaphors and pictures can give people an idea of the description. And you know that we get in trouble so much, don't we, being neurodiverse, for talking a lot, and now I actually get paid to speak. So it's just bizarre, really. So got frog march to her, and you had to stand a specific way in Australia, and stand by your hands by your side and your feet together, and she just said to me, "So, Sally, how are you liking Australia so far?" So I just said, "Well, I like it very much, thank you." And she had her glasses on like that. They were varifocal like mine then, back in the day. And she looked down at me like that, and she said, "Well, Australia doesn't like you, young lady."
Oh.
In her accent, and I can feel that. I'll put those on better. I can see you better. So I can still feel that now. And not to be liked I don't think anybody just wants to not be liked.
No, I
No,
think that's
and I think, so going back to the oppositional defiant, from the guy that told me I was never going to go anywhere in life, and for Australia not liking me, I was going to prove them wrong.
Yeah.
So when I actually came back to the UK, I wrote about this in my book, actually. It's like being like a little duckling, an ugly duckling. And then, of course, I got recognised and entered. Well, I was put forward for a competition that I won, and which got me on to be a beauty queen, which got me on to modelling, which got me on to the beauty industry, and teaching all about deportment, modelling, hair and makeup, self-awareness, self-development, self-protection, and all these things that I can now teach.
That's
so
incredible.
It's squashed into 40 years.
That's incredible. I just want to share this with you. Donna Portugal has put, sorry, just thought of the artist Jackson Pollock. There we go.
Thank you, Donna.
Incredible. Thank you. I just wanted to share that while you were speaking. So otherwise it would have been one of those things that kind of stuck in your mind going, who was it?
So, I mean, he was a long time ago, wasn't he? And I had never heard of him at the age of 12. But that was all I was wanting to do. So from being frog marched to head teacher and being suspended for that.
What age was that, Sally? If you don't mind,
I was 12, 13.
Such a young age to go through that kind of ordeal. And what was the kind of, how did it feel in the classroom environment? Was it always confusing for you? Was it what was that kind of, what was the emotion like?
Bored, Will, I'm sure that a lot of people watching, that wherever this will go, you'll recognise there's a lot of similarities with bored, distracted, daydreaming, rose-tinted spectacles, which now I found out that, I wondered where this saying came from as well, that you see the world through rose-tinted spectacles. So what? I'm glad I do. And then when I went for a test for Erland's, which I was clearly needed the glasses to use for reading, my tint was rose. Like a pinky rose. I know I don't, my glasses aren't, I've not got them in my office, but so it's amazing how a spin on words, isn't it? I do see the world through rose-tinted spectacles. That's my choice, and I give myself permission.
Oh, absolutely. So Australia, you were obviously, you found school education side of it very, very difficult. You always felt kind of a bit of the outsider in the sense of, and the lessons, because you find whenever you kind of being, neurodiverse, dyslexic, ADHD, these kind of elements, things have to kind of capture your attention and keep your attention. And I don't know if it happens like it's more, like we need it more, like magnified those, but because it's, and I guess in the classroom environment, those elements are kind of magnified. If you've got, an hour's lesson, you've got to sit there. I mean, I remember thinking, a lot of my school in Element, I was taken out of classroom and put into, a thing called the unit. But when I was allowed to into lessons, I used to think to myself, my goodness, I've got 60 minutes. And I'd be thinking to myself, how long's a minute? I'd be breaking down the minute, not really listening to what the teacher said, because I would just feel so anxious that I've literally got to sit somewhere for an hour and kind of try and decode all of this information and find it entertaining or educating. So I can see.
I absolutely agree with you. And it was called the unit in your school, was it?
It was, yeah. But when you say the unit, I mean,
the room.
But it was this porter cabin in the middle of a school field. You say the unit and you think it's some sort of special ops police American force or something, but it's not. It was a room. It was a room. It was
detention room, wasn't it? We had the detention room, but going back to what you've just been saying, I'm an absolute whiz at writing lines. That's the only thing I could get neat. Because I used to have different, obviously most lunchtimes I was in writing lines, and I used to be articulate about the way I got them all lined up in lines both ways.
Do you do you think then you were kind of, because there was so many things that I guess as a child within school we can't control, okay, and then there's so many elements, like you have to turn up to a certain lesson. If you attend, you sit, there's so many things you can't control because you were, as you said, put into the detention room. Do you feel that, say, if we take the element of writing, say, you're doing the lines and you're making sure that they are perfect and neat, do you think that maybe was an element of something that you felt that you could control?
Possibly, yeah, possibly.
It just sort of kind of, when you were mentioning it, I think because there are so many elements that we, that are out of control, that we can't control everything. And I'm sure, we're told by people, don't try and control everything because it's, can drive you, insane, I guess, trying to control everything. But there are some elements where you just want, it's a human nature to want some control.
Yeah, and I think, but again, as well, it shows in your work in terms of your eye to detail, which is something that I'm very passionate about in my work now. In every place that I work, in every business that I'm working in at the time of my own, my eye to detail is quite high, to get it right. And I use my own eyes to do that with, not so much like I work it out rather than read it. I can't read it. Oh my gosh, if people give me instructions to put things together, or like even the pictures, I can't follow the pictures. I have to work it out.
Yeah, I think anything in the sense of, say IKEA furniture or anything else, flat pack, I'm fine if someone's working with me and says, that goes there, screw that in, that's fine. But looking at it, it's just like it's in a different language, or it's crazy. So Sally, Australia in those side of it, and then you moved back to the UK. What was the kind of the transition like? Because the educational side, you would have already had some sort of kind of effect with that. So your mindset going into education in the UK, were you nervous about that? Or
coming back to England, well, obviously, coming back to the UK, I didn't. You're not sort of, you don't have the ability to think as an adult then, do you? So looking back, I was conscious. I mean, at Will, I had to do this as an exercise, was to, I've obviously photographed now all my reports. They're all documented and in a neat, these are from school. So when I read them, going through them, it's actually quite sad. When I think back to, gosh, you wouldn't have thought that this person was me now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I have gone on to succeed as an adult. I was 40 when I got my first big qualification, my degree.
Yeah.
So, and now there's no stopping me. I'm unstoppable in terms of learning. I love it.
And that speaking to you, that comes off you in waves. I completely understand. Yeah. And although we think learning something is that craving, isn't it? And of wanting to learn.
I think what's bizarre as well is that we went back to Australia in 2007 and I set up another salon there, but we came back. My furniture's travelled more around the world than any, I think. So, but it's interesting how I ended up getting invited to the Hills District Council to be a mentor for new business setups in Australia,
really?
And I spent quite some time and I had a great time setting up new businesses, young people or any age people. I had some great students, but new business people, and helping them, encouraging them. And it was and one particular lady, she had a filming company that she'd set up. Great girl, and I loved it. She sticks in my mind because we went filming down under the bush, like right out in the middle of what thinking I was never going to get back alive. Yeah.
So if we talk about, so then so how many years were you in the UK education? Did you come back into year?
Right. Okay, so mainly my majority of education was done in the UK, but I left school with no qualifications other than a grade C CSE in needlework. That's the only one I scaved.
Sally, how did that, because I'm similar to yourself, not the Australian side of it, sadly, but similar to yourself in the education. So I left school with no qualifications as well. And I kind of know how difficult it was to fill out application forms, to apply for, your jobs. What was that like? What was that like for you?
Awful. And I knew, because I was in the Sea Cadet, I was in the Sea Cadets, and absolutely loved it because it was very outdoorsy, and I got went up the ranks with that because I could do that. It was all physical. And learning the phonetic alphabet for I always remember being quite cool about that because I knew my phonetic alphabet.
Just tell everyone,
and no one else knew that. I could remember that.
Yeah,
because I could see it in pictures. But I think with going to having Sea Cadets, and I've lost my train of thought now. I've got just remind me of what we were talking about.
So it was just in case of leaving school without any qualifications. What was the kind of the journey that kind of took you on? I mean, I can relate to it in the sense that I shared not leaving with any qualifications. It was just how you kind of went to. Where did you go with that to kind of?
So I ended up, because I was an August birthday as well, I was only 15 when I left school, and I wanted to go in the army or any of the forces because I could do things physically. And so I was too young to apply for any of them, but the youngest one, you had to be 17 in 3 months to apply for the Women's Army. So because I loved my dogs and I wanted to be a kennel maid, but of course I was only 15, so I had to find something to do until I was 17 in 3 months. So my mum said, we'll go into hairdressing. And in those days, you were thrown into hairdressing because you can't do anything else. But remember, I was modeling as well, so I was earning money from that at the time. And I was being exposed to lots of different events, like we'd be doing things like the racing car tracks and promotional events, and I was very young. But because I had a personality, people used to think I was a lot older, you see.
Sally, do you think then one of the traits? So I did an interview yesterday for someone who's doing, as you know, a lady who's doing her final year in the university around dyslexia, and one of they said kind of what would you say your strongest skill is, or it was worded a lot more better than that, and I would say it's communication and people. Would you say that is a big strength and a massive attribute to
And quite often, and you'll recognise this, and so will everybody listening to this call if they're neurodiverse, is that quite often you will be invited to places because you've got the confidence to get into a nightclub without a ticket, blag your way through anywhere. You do. You pick, and do you know what I recognise as well? Recently, before COVID, we were out for dinner with some friends, and one of the girls on the table didn't even have the confidence to ask for pepper.
Oh, bless!
And I thought, oh my gosh, that's just like, you just put your hand up.
I guess I think back to kind of school and the education, and even in the workplace element, there are so many things, I guess, with being neurodiverse and some of the struggles that we've had, and a lot of people that listen to this will be able to relate to so many stories are similar in those sides of it. And I guess it's that sheer strength and which enables you, if someone said, where did you find your confidence from? I guess I'd say it's always been there. It's just there's always been someone trying to, bash it down or not the confidence element of it. But I think if I had to, say with the neurodiverse element of it, with my ADHD and my dyslexia, I would say because I've always found certain things a struggle, I'm always, in my mind, always trying to think of ways around things.
No, and it's hard, isn't it? It's exhausting. I know, and I don't know about you guys or anyone, you know, I put it out there to everybody watching this and wherever it travels. I think that, you know, many of us are, and this is not to be a restriction, it's to be used as an ability. We have to switch it round, because if we don't, this is just going to be, we're just going to be hammered down all the time. And it's vital. And I think that, you know, we have a choice. We have a choice, and we have to shine. And the only person to give us permission to do that is us. So go for it, you know.
Completely well said. I just want to show you this, Sally. Donna Portugal, she said, goodness, Sally, memories of being made to do needlework at school have just come flooding back.
Oh, bless you. You know what, though? I love sewing. I love needlework now. I love my Singer sewing machine. It's just, you know, great. I love messing.
We did needlework, I think, in primary school. We did the Battle of Hastings. And it was this... it was crazy. We did this. It was absolutely huge. I think the whole kind of school got involved and done little bits. I mean, I don't know what I can't remember. So many years ago, I can't remember what part I did in that sense. But
do you know what? You just reminded me there, Darren. You know, they're still doing now the same books that we read. I know they've got to, you know, in schools, they've got to balance it. Everybody's dealt with the same. Read in the same English lessons and stuff like that. But when my youngest son is 15, and he came home and he was saying, you've got to get Romeo and Juliet, honestly, I nearly, like, oh, you know, I remember falling asleep at the cinema and at Shakespeare, only because I love the theatre. As you know, I'm an actress and singer myself, but, you know, I love it, but I can't, it's just far too, I just don't get it.
I'm a secret massive musical fan, and it's not very.
So am I.
Thanks that, you know, globally, but I
breaking to song tomorrow on in the clubhouse.
In clubhouse, yeah. I'll leave that to you, Sally. You're much more professional in that element, but yeah, I love. I think it's the you know, the escapism and the visual element of it is just. You know, it really is, and I think that's also as well with movies. I you know, there's nothing more you know, enthralling to go to a cinema and have that. And I really missed that during obviously this period as well.
Same.
You know, no phones, no contact, just a couple of hours of kind of escapism in the elements. It's just it's amazing. Sally, I want to kind of bring on the other. So with the diagnosis, did you go through the channels of diagnosis, or did you always kind of know that there was something there? Because not everyone that has neurodiversity, dyslexia, dyspraxia, actually goes and gets diagnosed. It's not saying that it's definite that you have to. There's obviously, you know, pros to do it, and then some people don't want to. What kind of route did you go?
Sadly, it's been quite a journey actually, and quite an exhausting journey. And when I actually found out that I could see whether I was dyslexic, I've always known I was different. I've always known that and again, you know, if you're listening to this, think about yourself and what you're like, because I can be quite a private introvert. So at home, I can be very quiet, very peaceful. At nature, I've got a massive, strong faith, and which I've needed. You know, my faith has been my best friend, really, forever, because it's the only thing that I can trust that's going to be there, even when the darkest time's there. And this condition, it can be absolutely fantastic, but it can also be a curse. And when you're at an introvert, private introvert, it can be quite. It's oh my gosh, crazy, isn't it? The roller coaster. We did a chat last week, didn't we, on our clubhouse about you know, roller coasters and things like that. And this journey in my business is like a roller coaster, but it's more like up, down, up, down, up, down, isn't it? It's not a rolling hills. It's like night. It's up there or down there, isn't it?
Sally, you mentioned about being an introvert, because you know, people that know you in the sense of your social media profile, maybe you know, that work with you in the business, you know, clubhouse, you're always kind of a bit like me in the sense of, you know, I'll give it a go and I'll go out there. But it's funny because I'm very much similar in the sense of the introvert element of it. and I suppose that balance is quite difficult, isn't it? Because you have to kind of keep a social media presence within a business. You have to keep a business presence. You have to keep all these things where you're contactable and you're promoting and stuff. But then, there's this not recluse element, but there's this element of actually, I just need my space. I need I need to be quite private, almost like I just want to keep something of me private because I put so much out.
That's right. That's right. And indeed I do, I mean, I think that, over the years I've been accused of all sorts of things, believe me. But I don't necessarily need to be talking all the time to all the people about well, now I do, because I think it's vital. I'm talking to a group of young people at the moment all about getting diagnosis that are just stuck in their CCG. They can't get support or help, and it's disgusting. It really does make my skin crawl massively, because I'm fortunate to be able to get my diagnosis because I knew, and also I've got some finances to be able to find out. But do you know there's a 7-year waiting list in my area for diagnosis for ADHD?
7 years.
7 years. 7 years for adults.
I did not know that. That's
disgusting. It really, truly is.
So is that from the start of the process to saying, I want to go and get?
Well, it's not as easy as that, because it depends on the GP as well. Because when you think that you might have a condition, I know I've got mine, but I'm, looking at helping other people, and the mission, is a passion of mine to help, as you know. Because with women, and I'm not saying, I'm not sexist at all, but because women are generally, we're made to be mothers. Our biological makeup is to carry a child and to give birth to a child and to be everything, to nurture that child, and that carries on through life. And what we tend to do is mask. So not our visual mask that we're wearing through COVID, we mask. We copy with dolls, we copy with, whereas the men go out to war and we know it's out there, don't we? We know with fellas that, it's quite evident. I can remember the boys in my remedial class that were, looking back now, ADHD, you can just tell my own son is, and I have permission to give that information out from him. And of course, we work together by helping people, saying it's okay. It's okay.
And it's really, it's humbling to hear, Sally, that, the work that you're doing behind the scenes. And I know there's lot of stuff that you do that you don't kind of share out to, to the public domain. There's so much, good element of that. And I guess it's difficult, isn't it? When we talk about, being an introvert, and you've got this kind of mission similar to myself of becoming, a voice for at least just one person, and then, hopefully that will kind of, then it magnifies and you become the voice. And I guess it's very difficult to find that balance sometimes when you are kind of in demand and you are then that strong person of that voice, continuously putting out, your message. Do you find that, Sally?
Yeah, I do. And I think that, when we're going back to being introvert, that's my quiet time where I just need to write. And I was talking to this group of people yesterday, and I said, we talk metaphorically here, and we're talking acronyms and pictures. And this is what, led me to be a goal mapping guru, which I now teach. But we it's like horses wear blinkers for a reason, and we have to put ours on. So, we are a reflection of the 5 people that we hang around with most. So think about who your friends are. Are they going to set you up to win, or are they going to pull you down by saying no? Oh, no, you don't want to do that. Why do you want to do that? If you've got an idea, that's your visceral feeling in your heart. You have to follow it.
You're absolutely right. I remember that analogy, what you said is absolutely crucial, and I completely understand that. And I think I watched a YouTube video, it's quite some time ago actually, and it was an analogy around crabs, kind of the sea crabs, and they were in a bucket. And it was almost like, and they kind of videoed this, they were all safe and no crabs were harmed during this commercial. But the crab was trying to get out. And crabs naturally, they're trying, inquisitive, they're trying to get out. And this video shot this one crab almost getting to the very top, the claws over the bucket, and then you just saw the other crabs grab the crab and pull it back down. And it was a analogy of, again, surrounding yourself with people that kind of help and push you up as opposed to pulling you down. I'm not giving it as much justice as it should, and I will, share it if I see it. But it was just, incredible, that an analogy around.
There's so many analogies, isn't there? And my dear friend Brian Main, who's the founder of Goal Mapping, we were talking about the 100 monkeys theory the other day, and there's like the elephants, when we look around nature, it's all there for us. We behave naturally. It's only our brains or people that tell us we can't. Absolutely. So this is what I mean, is that you have to just ignore them and say, get out of my way, I'm coming through, I've got work to do. Unless you are here to set me up to win, to support me. And this is why I get such gratitude. I give such gratitude to you and Will. We've found a platform to encourage all these people and let them speak. Let them use their voices.
I just want to share this one. Shirley did say this absolutely shocking, long time, longest I've ever heard. I think around obviously the diagnosis in that element as well. I also I want to kind of touch on the strategies, if you wouldn't mind, Sally, around kind of because there's so many things that you've done, so many things that's kind of helped you, which we haven't even scratched the surface on.
No, we haven't got long enough, but
I know. Maybe I should do like a guest too, bring people back.
Let's do it.
It's open. So I just want to kind of share on what's worked for you, because it's very important. My strategies for me work for me most of the time, and other people need to find. But what's kind of worked for you? Are there any tools that you've used? Any courses? And what kind of looks?
I think it's a good question, and I think that I've had several people who I mentioned. I actually tagged them into the this call yesterday, and I've missed so many off. But these are the people that had I have not been given a chance by this person, it probably wouldn't have led me to where I am now. By just purely by chance, the lady that was selling a salon to become a hair and beauty teacher, she's gone on in her own path to go up to her pedestal, but she gave me an opportunity, remember, with no qualifications, to move up in my pedestal and set all those people up to win. Excuse me, that I can now look back and put my hand on my heart and say, oh my gosh, you've done so well. And they say like, oh, well, thanks. It's all, no, you've given yourself permission. You've done it. It's you that's made the decision to do it. So I think in terms of strategies, I've got loads. And, with it's almost like being a chameleon, Darren, isn't it? Without the sticky tongue. So it depends on the environment. So if I'm put into an environment and there's a problem, I'm like, okay, give me your problems, and then I will look at a solution. And we'll then look at a strategy that will suit your organization, you as a CEO, you as a MD or whatever, and it applies in any organization, any religious setting. It's the same principles. So I've got various.
How does mind mapping work for you, Sally? I know mind mapping is something that you're avid.
Well, that's correct. Now, I was introduced to a gentleman called Brian Main back in 2016. I am a network marketer, and I love the concept of network marketing. It's very legal, it's very honest, it's all about social selling, and I get rewarded for it, and I look to sponsor other people as well that want to work from home and do all these great things. And along with that, we when I first started doing network marketing, Brian I was introduced to, who, get this, I honestly was blown away. So Brian is a traveler on the South Coast, and he set up a business 25 years ago called Goal Mapping.
Wow.
And it's basically for anybody, any educational setting like we've just gone through, and it's to do with drawing and minds and just getting your ideas out of your head onto paper or now digitally. So and this is what we've just gone crazy for. People are going mad for it now, which is just incredible. So I am an affiliate with Brian now, and it's just
And it's
great.
helped you massively. Yeah.
Say again, sorry.
And it's helped you. It's helped you massively. In so many different...
Yeah, because without that, I can't see with where I'm going, and everything that I've done on my goal mapping, I've achieved because I set myself a target in where to do. And going back to Malawi, we've not even touched on Malawi yet. You know, I've known right from a child I would carry a baby in its native country. I've known that forever, so that's always been in my vision. I've had a visceral feeling that I needed to hold a baby. I didn't know where it was.
Wow.
You know, and you know, when I ended up working when we were out in Malawi, I went to volunteer in a hospital for premature baby. Well, it was a hospital, but I went in the premature baby. But it's so third world, and just, oh my gosh, that life changing. I can't even. It makes me weep.
Yeah, no,
you get that, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. You know, spending time out, and you know, we travelled to Blantyre, to Lilongwe, or Lilongwe to Blantyre in Malawi, and stuff in Kenya as well. It is incredibly humbling, and there are, you know, some amazing things and amazing people doing some amazing stuff, and you know, what you were doing out there was incredible. Sally, we are coming up to
we are out of time.
I honestly, I'm so sorry. This is, you know, that I've got kind of a whole list of things. I thought, oh, I'll just cover this with Sally. I'll cover this with Sally. But as you know, we could end up talking forever on these sense. But I would be delighted to have you back on Neurodiversity Stories. There's so much that you've not been able to share, you know, your wisdom and your experience and your story as well. But I cannot thank you enough for your time, Sally. If you wouldn't mind, if you could share that link when you go back out into kind of, you know, the comment section. If you've got a link, feel free to, you know, to share it.
Yeah, I will.
If anyone, you know, for more information on that. But how else can people get in contact with you, Sally?
Well, they can get in contact with me via, obviously through LinkedIn or via my website. I've just Google searched my name, or in my book. You know, you can download my book now or buy it. It's up to you. And yeah, there's Facebook, you name it.
That's awesome.
Clubhouse as well that we've got now. I love it.
And Clubhouse, yeah, absolutely. We run a Neurodiverse Clubhouse every single Saturday morning at 10 a.m. So we'll put the
10
link.
a.m.
We'll put the link on that.
Yeah, and I've got 4 invites at the moment, so I'm happy to give 2 of those away if there's anyone on the call with an iPhone today. I'm happy. Yeah, give them away.
Absolutely. Sally, it's been absolutely fantastic having you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much indeed for your time, and I will catch up with you very, very soon.
Okay, thanks. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye. So guys, that was Sally. I know that everyone would have absolutely really enjoyed that. Incredible, inspirational lady, and I'm not lying with the kind of all the stuff that we kind of planned that we were going to be talking about. There is so much. If you've not connected with Sally, then please do connect with her. All the links to all the things that we spoke about will be put into the comments, and obviously we broadcast this out onto lots of different channels, and obviously onto the YouTube channel as well. So the links will be on there. Guys, we are done for another Neurodiversity Stories this week. We will be back next Friday at a slightly later time. I know we normally do this at 11, but it will be at 12 p.m. Purely because the guest, otherwise we would have had to asked her to come in at 5 a.m., which is a little bit too early. So we will be back next week for another Neurodiversity Stories. Thank you so much for all of your comments and for connecting with each other. And take care, guys. Have an amazing weekend, and we'll see you soon. Cheers. Bye-bye.